in the AWS cloud,
Yep.
it has to have some sort of an image built that at least has some security credentials and the name of my server to go and get my recipes from.
I think we might be talking about two separate things, so let's talk about that over coffee. So that's two people I need to talk to. Yes?
Now your ops code, what's the roadmap for Chef? Where's it going? What's the big challenges?
There's lots of exciting stuff on the roadmap, but I can't tell you what it is without checking what I'm allowed to say. But there is, if you look at the Chef Conf presentations, which are all on YouTube, there's a presentation there which says this is the future for Chef, and that will give the current ops code line on what the roadmap is and what's in the pipeline. So yes, chap at the back.
As currently, Chef has a pull mechanism, so the client actually requests all the configuration that needs to be applied to the particular time, which seems to me that's a security risk, especially if you run a client into the DMZ and so on and so forth. So how does Chef address this security topic?
So the question is, given that Chef has a pull mechanism, does this constitute some kind of security risk? I don't think it is a security risk, so perhaps you could explain the vector that makes that a security risk.
The client always triggers what it needs to run, right? So if I can get access to the box, first of all I can do a denial of service as the server port is always open. Second of all, I can request, instead of being a web server, I'd like to be web server MySQL database.
Okay, so I understand the question. The question is, so firstly he says, if he gains access to the machine, then maybe he could trigger a bunch of Chef client runs and cause a denial of service attack, or maybe he could somehow change the recipe on the machine. So for those two vectors, firstly, well, if you can access the machine, you have a problem anyway. That's not a Chef problem. But secondly, in the case of being able to edit and alter the run list, you can't do that from the node. That's not possible.
So I have to have a pre-config.
Yeah, you need to be able to speak to the Chef server using your secure API key, which is not on the Chef server. You need to do that from your workstation. Only you can control the run list. You can't specify that on the client. My voice is going. John.
Sorry, Steve, I get kind of related, but if you're in a, say, cloudy environment where, for example, Cloud Provider is using Chef, and then I separately am using Chef for my virtual farm, how do I make sure that my clients talk to my Chef server and not his Chef server?
So the question is, if you've got your own environment with your own Chef server, and you've also got maybe a client or maybe another piece of the business which is using a separate Chef server, how do you make sure you don't get crosstalk talking to the wrong ones? The answer is that there is a configuration file for your Chef client in which you specify the Chef server and the API endpoint, and the authentication mechanism and authorization mechanism is such that you would not be able to have a conversation with the other machine because you come along and say, hello, I'm machine 123, and that machine would say, I don't know who you are. You do not have access to me. I don't have your key. Therefore, I can't speak to you or give you any information. Yes?
Yeah, what about redundancy of the Chef servers? Can you have redundancy?
So the question is, what about redundancy of the Chef server? If you want to run the Chef server, you currently have three options. You can install Chef server yourself. It's open source, it's freely available, and you can run it on one machine. And then if you want to scale it, it's just the same process that you would go about to scale any web application. It's just a REST API in front of an index on a publishing platform. So if you know how to scale a web application, you know how to scale a Chef server. If you don't want to do that yourself, there is a software as a service mechanism called Opscode Hosted Chef, where you pay on a per node basis, that's already built to be very highly redundant and very highly resilient because there are thousands and thousands of clients using that. Alternatively, if you don't want to use a software as a service platform and you don't want to go through the hassle of managing and maintaining your own highly available Chef server, there is a service called Private Chef where Opscode will sell you effectively some software and some support for that software that will run on your hardware behind your firewall in your data center. One more question before we go. Chap at the back.
You mentioned about creating SMF services. So is it going to create a SMF service similar to the Solaris service, or is it going to place within under the Ruby programs?
So the question is, I mentioned that we could have a resource which created SMFs, manifests or services. Where would they go? The answer is they would go in var SVC where you would expect your manifests to go. Because what your resource is specifying is, I want this to do this. It wouldn't go, as you asked, it wouldn't go under ops code, Ruby stuff over here. It would just configure the machine exactly the way that you would expect it to be configured.
So I guess you can mention the dependencies. Yeah?
Yes, you can absolutely solve dependencies and specify them and cook things in exactly whatever way you want. So Chris is gesticulating to me that we've run out of time. Any more questions? To the extent that my voice holds out, I'd be very, very happy to continue to talk to you over coffee and sandwiches. So thanks very much.
Thank you.